All right, everyone. So, if you have chosen to revise specifically for figurative language, the first piece of advice I need to give you is do not go overboard with this. You really want to make sure that you are choosing specific spots to use figurative language. So, if you take a look at the checklist, essentially what we're asking is, have you used a variety of figurative language to make the ideas and descriptions in your poem clearer or more creative? This type of language allows the reader to feel the same situation that the poet is expressing. So keep that in mind. And we remind you of definitions, we give you some examples. But again, this is what I said earlier. Use these intentionally. What do you want to emphasize? What do you want to make super clear to the reader? So if I go back to the poem that I'm working on, I first want to acknowledge what have I used already. So I have this spot right here. A wave builds and builds in my stomach. And right there, I'm using a metaphor. I'm comparing my emotions to a wave, or kind of like my nerves to a wave that builds and builds. If I keep looking through, I have maybe a little bit of a hyperbole. It doesn't really literally take my breath away, but it's close, and I want to convey that emotion. And if I keep going down, I've got here the world to swallow him up. So I've got, I'd say, two things going on there. I've got a little bit of personification, the idea that like the world could swallow. I've also maybe got a little bit of hyperbole. I'm exaggerating. He's not going to actually get swallowed up, but that feeling of kind of losing him, I want to get that across. And if I keep going, I'm sure I've got some other spots. But as I look through, I'm going, oh, okay, I kind of had it at the beginning, but I haven't done much later on. So as I glance through, we got to be intentional. I'm looking for spots that I want to emphasize. And I'm kind of coming back to this spot with my daughter. And I have to tell you that when she gets all crazy, she's a maniac, she's solid, she's strong. She kind of reminds me of this like little Buddha baby. If you've seen those Buddha figurines with their like big belly, and like that's, I mean, she's 4 right now. That's like absolutely her. She's this like petite but like solid little Buddha. But when she's in action, I feel like she's almost like the sumo wrestler. She just gets low and she gets like, Rrr. So I think I'm going to say she's solid like a sumo wrestler, because I think that gives a better picture in my reader's mind of what I'm looking at when I see my daughter. It makes it a little bit clearer. And then if I keep going down, all right, I do have actually knocking the breath out at times, the life out of you. She doesn't really, but it's close. So I have a little bit of hyperbole there. That's good. And as I keep going, all right, this looks good because I don't want to overdo it. But now I'm kind of looking at the end and I'm thinking there's got to be something down here that I could add. So I know I can't be their protector forever. So this idea of like a protector. And I think here I'm going to say something like a fortress, you know, like those kind of castle fortresses. A fortress kind of like protecting, no, because I say protecting. A fortress keeping out the enemy. Maybe something like that. I can always come back to it. And what I'm doing is I'm comparing myself as mom to a fortress, keeping out the enemy. And maybe I'll play with that phrase a little bit. But now I've really kind of made sure that I have thoughtfully put figurative language, and I've used a variety. I have metaphor, I have simile. Actually, I use them all. I have personification, and I used hyperbole. So I think I've done a pretty good job now at this point, and I'm good to kind of check this one off. So go get 'em.